Welcome, everyone. My name is Randy Howell with Trader State of Mind, and I am delighted that you're here. And just goes to show you that we're in the new year. It's time to really start exploring what is going to be the difference maker that takes your trading from one level to the potential that you see. Before we get started with that, let's just find out if you can hear me. That if a few kind souls would just simply type Y into their boxes, question box, I would be really greatly appreciated. It would allow us to know that yes, we can hear, and I'm not just talking off into space. Okay, so let's see. What do we got? Yep. Good. Okay, so back where we started. The one thing you need to know about my presentations, if you haven't been around, you haven't seen many of these, is I hold questions to the end. That doesn't mean that you can't ask questions, but it means I'll get to them at the very end of the presentation. Often we find that questions have been already answered, so that's just kind of the way we make it up. But let's go back and look at the thesis of this. How do you go about unlocking the hidden potential in your trading mind? You see what's possible. You go, wow, if I can just do this, why can't I just do this when money's on the line? And ultimately what we want to do is we want to answer that, but what we want to do is we want to take you down to the foundations of becoming human and see what got organized into the self as we were evolving from creatures that were still of the higher primates into where we became human beings. We got to take a look at that because that evolutionary biology is going to answer a lot of those questions. So here we begin. Now, everybody wants to win, right? Everybody wants to be successful. Who hasn't used a ton of visualizations to visualize the future they want? Who has not used affirmations so that they can train their subconscious, okay? And who hasn't used positive thinking derivatives that doesn't allow negative stuff and only positive stuff because you're creating that future? And what we discover is we really want to win, okay? Deeply invested are we? But the thing is, what we discover is our entire life before trading, we have just simply thrown ourselves at projects in order to be able to achieve the success we're after. And yet what we find is the harder we work, the more can-do attitude that we have that works so well in former careers and stuff like that, when that same kind of mindset thinking is applied to trading, it blows up accounts. It bleeds the death of 1,000 tiny cuts. All that stuff. And we're going, something, maybe we need to relook winning and losing because we brought that sense of winning, that sense of success in the formula. And yet at the same time, what we're doing is saying, maybe that kind of thinking is a part of the problem I'm having with producing consistent profitability. Okay, when I start winning, suddenly it blows up in my face. Then when I take a loss, I really don't want to take that loss. And before I know it, I'm revenge trading or I'm pouring bad money after good. So with this winning attitude business, okay, we find ourselves stuck. Something's not working. And I guarantee you, if you're like most of the people who come to my work and take a look, you have done a lot of things. You've tried a lot of different ways of getting that mind prepared for trading and to be able to say, I can do this. At the same time, the more you try it, you're still stuck. And what happens is what gives here. And what I want you to really take a look at, there is a huge gap between knowledge and attitude, between knowledge and action. Okay, and that's the whole point of this whole thing. What it's saying, the difference between knowing and doing can be summed up in one word: results. We can talk the game, even though we're not getting it. We think we're just pushing closer and closer. It's so much closer. It's almost within my grasp. and then you fall apart. And we're saying, wow, okay, something's not up. And what happens is what keeps happening here. We need to take a look and start saying, what actually does stand in the way of my being a highly effective in trading? Okay, is really your notion of winning. And you go, what do you mean? I want to make money, right? I want to win, right? I don't want to lose, right? Well, this is beginning to think about the winning mindset. And what we want to do is recognize, wow, and the winning mindset, success, what you're learning is winning is what it's all about. You don't want to lose. Oh my God. You want to be right. You want to be in control. You don't want to be wrong. You want to have that positive mental attitude that has, yeah, I can imagine myself off to success. I'm going to train that subconscious. You visualize that success. You just try to be perfect. And then what happens is, you know something, I'm going to be the one controlling my destiny. And what happens? But there's also some more traits of this winning attitude that we bring to trading. It contains also, you've got to be persistent. You've got to be single-minded. You can't give up. You've got to be tough. And you're going to fight till the fight is won. You've got to be hardworking. And what happens if you bring this particular concept to trading mind, do you know what's going to happen? You're going to lose. It just so happens that, hold on, let's see if I can just do this and we move this. Yep. So the key is this. You've all experienced this self-image of winning and working, and then you get it to training, and golly, it doesn't work, even though it's ingrained in you. And in the ingraining of that, ultimately what happens is that it's instinctive. I want you to take a look at this image. Not more than 25, 30,000 years ago, this would be a fairly common sight. You're looking at a clan of people attacking a mastodon, a giant elephant. Now, in here, winning overrides everything. Winning is to be able to kill that animal, which provides food for a village for a long time. It provides everything. But at the same time, it's very dangerous. So what you discover is most people back off, but you see some people closer. And all of a sudden you're realizing is that the alpha, the winner, okay, wants to survive, but he wants power. He wants to defend himself, and he wants to become a force. And he also wants status. By being able to provide that sustenance for his village, for his clan, he gains great esteem, and it gives him favor among others. It just so happens that was highly desirable traits for survival up until probably 15,000 years ago. And my friends, that is the kind of attitudes we have about winning. Winning, if you attack an animal like this, there is probability that you may not live. The truth is that as a winner, the caveman survived. You control outcome and environment, but when brought to the modern world, okay, something's wrong. It works though in corporate and business where you are fighting for survival there. But you're saying, you know something? Okay, I'm kind of beginning to get it. Randy is telling me that there is, in my evolutionary past, I am bringing some behaviors that embedded as traits about winning and surviving, because caveman looked at survival very differently than we do today. The whole job of the brain is to ensure that you survive the next moment. Okay? If you're looking at a saber-toothed cat, you're really beginning to see, oh my God, I have to react. Is it through aggression or is it through avoidance? And yet, those things bred into us, and they allowed us to be very survivable. They bred into us till they became traits. And then, unbeknownst to us, it just so happens they started trading a long time ago or a short time ago. And those very traits that have made it so successful for us as a species to live, and also so successful in the jungle-like environment of our corporations and our businesses, and going out and, having to win, having to beat the competition, having to do all that, we bring that same mind to trading. Okay? Now, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? It just so happens that the brain that you brought to trading is not going to be the brain that produces a mind that's going to produce success in trading. So then, this entire self-image of being a winner that you bring to trading, okay? It's worked in the past. It's wired into our very ethos. It's right there in our DNA. And we wouldn't even think about looking and examining, hey, do I need to really examine my whole notions of winning and losing for trading? I mean, I want to win, right? I want to make money. What's the deal? And certainly it's worked really well in the past. So we're caught in this thing, okay? And wow, here it is. I think, have an idea, try it, do, try it again, keep trying until you get to success. How many accounts have you burned through with that kind of thinking? Okay? And here's the piece I want you to get. It's the kind of thinking that you did to produce whatever level of success you had before trading is not going to produce success in trading now. And I want to give you a really good example. Several years ago, I worked with a very successful serial, not killer, but serial entrepreneur. Literally, when he graduated from college, he sold a beer business that he established while he was underage. He didn't drink, but he managed the business. He sold it for $500,000 when he graduated from college and was moving on. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't walk out with a fresh $500,000 when I graduated from school. But he went on to have success in a number of other businesses that he and then later his partners would create, build, and sell. So he's very accomplished. Then he learns about trading and he finds, well, look, man, it's a business. And it just so happens that we just sold this company. It was an all-cash deal. I have lots of capital. And now I've discovered that trading is a capital-intensive business. And I got the capital. I can do it. All I have to do is learn how to work this business, and I'm there. That very successful entrepreneur comes to trading, and he thinks, this will take me maybe 2 years. No problem. 5 years later, it hasn't happened, and he ends up working with me. And he came to the moment, friends, that he did become consistently profitable. One day, he and I are talking, and he says, Randy, I want to thank you for our work together. It's really shed one of the most important things as an idea on me that I've never, ever known. And he said, what happens is to become a successful trader, I have to give up control, but I'm not willing to do that. What he's defining is what makes a perfectly good entrepreneur produces hell on wheels as a trader. The very notion of controlling and making things happen in trading had been basically what pulled him down. And he recognized that he didn't want to do it. So what happens is we're here. We see this success and all of a sudden we're realizing maybe the brain, maybe the mind is not the best one that we need. It's the flaw is in trying to control outcome is not possible in trading. You might think you can, you might think you're in the flow and all that stuff, but ultimately you're playing a game where you are given, if you have a method edge and if you have a psychological edge to maintain order of the mind while trading, what you have is you have an edge in that you will extract more capital out of the markets than you give back in. That's the edge. The people who are trading, it's not just a glib thing, losing is part of the business of trading. No, what you do is you recalibrate how you experience losing and winning. And to be honest with you, your survival depends on it. So what we want to do here is we want to start dismantling, breaking through the success mindset that you brought to trading. And again, no matter how good it's been to you, that's not the point here. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that the mind, the brain that has been built over time, I mean, eons of time, and also learned in your family of origins and cultures, simply doesn't work for trading. Okay? The winner of just simply working harder doesn't work. Persistence doesn't work. Something else does. It's a notion, and we're getting digger and closer to this idea of like, well, what does work? Okay? And one of the greatest basketball players of all time played lots of games, scored, I think, more points than I don't think anybody, even LeBron James, I don't think has quite altered him. He's saying, hey, you can't win unless you learn to lose. We're so focused on being a winner, okay, that we can't see that it's not working. We just try harder. And ultimately, that's most likely why you're here. Looking, going, golly, I need to find something that I can just I can start winning. I just can't consistently win. I'm all over the place. I make money, I give it back and more, and then I get traumatized, and I have a hard time getting into trades. Then I start winning, and then I just blow it up. And I say, and I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, this is where this bias of wanting to win just simply blows it up. You can't make things happen. I had a client today. You know what happens? We're sitting there and we're examining. He said, I was just having really hard times with entries. But when we actually started mapping the problem, it wasn't having fear of entry that was the problem. The fear actually occurred because he didn't get a very good night's sleep last night. He woke up, and then later when he saw the trading about, I see it beginning to get time, he took a nap. And then what happens is he says, okay, I'll be okay if I get a nap. It's kind of like me. I watched a football game last night and didn't get bed till late. So what I did is today I took a nap and I'm okay. It just so happens the trading mind requires a very, very rested, ready to go brain. And what happens, he said, something, I'm not going to be able to get all my charting and homework done before the bell goes. I need to, hey man, I see some opportunities. I need to make money. That was the kiss of death right there. The truth is, he was stuck in winning, and he had zero control of whether or not he made money on any given trade. But by bringing his caveman brain into that trading decision, what he did is he took a compromised mind. He later acknowledged that the truth is he just wasn't that sharp, but he wanted to get in the markets and make some money. And what you'll find from me in my teaching is that if your mind's not right, you don't trade. So that no trading actually becomes trading. But you have to have enough wisdom of yourself to know when you're not fit to trade. So here it is, okay? So you're actually looking at it and going, well, okay, I can make things happen, but that's not working. And this is the difference right here between certainty thinking that you brought and the kind of probability type of thinking. Certainty thinking, you look at this guy right here, he's being popped out of the water. He wanted to control that wave rather than find out what that wave is willing to give him. On the other side, what you're looking at is a trader saying, what is this wave willing to give me? I know that if I make a mistake, there's a good chance I'm going to get really wiped out. But at the same time is that it's so fluid to be in the moment, in this eye, that something, it's worth the risk. I'm going for it. And understanding is that this guy on the right is acknowledging the chance of his failing and having a really bad day. But the thing is he's there in the ride. This other guy on the left got popped out because he's trying to control it. So what we're looking to do is to start building a probability-based mind in trading. The probability mind is going to be very different than the kind of mind that you brought to trading, okay? So let's take a look at this. The fundamental thing in the probability mind, you give up control over outcome. Okay? You give up control. You move from being a big fish in a small pond to being a minnow in a vast ocean. That's what happens is you start going, I can't force things to happen. It's worked in smaller universes, like in businesses. I can go out and make more sales calls. I can push. I can have a positive thing. I can be highly competitive. I can will things to happen. But the last time I checked, nobody could will the markets into doing anything for any length of time. So we're getting that and going, oh, you mean I have to give up control, this sense of like me being a powerful person? Yeah, powerful in the sense of like controlling outcome, controlling others, but powerful in the way of controlling the self. That would be the big deal. And here, what I want you to do is think about this. You bring a brain and your adaptive psychology, and they're locked into a pattern that's very clearly, when you look at your trading account, it's self-limiting. Your brain doesn't want to let go of this illusion it's created of like, I can stay in this thing and I can lie to people, I can do all sorts of things, but my trading account won't lie, okay? And here it is. People have a hard time letting go of their suffering. What? I don't want to suffer. Yet you keep doing the same thing and getting banged up, and you keep doing it year after year. I would say you're having a hard time letting go of that suffering out of a fear for the unknown. Another way we would say that in trading, the fear of uncertainty. They prefer the suffering that is familiar to them. What you're going to have to do, if you want to get out of the traumatize of losing money and actually getting there, you're going to actually have to say, you know something? I have to get out of the familiar patterns that have given me this place right now, or go find something that is different than trading. Trading just simply requires a certain kind of mind. It's almost like, a person that's really well suited for accounting, and they right beside him is a guy very well suited to persuasive selling. Now, most likely that guy who is a persuasive salesman has no business at all trying to do accounting. However, he might be very good about representing the accounting firm as it pitches other clients. You see, the talents, they just have to be directed into the right area. So ultimately, it's time to change. That's ultimately what it really boils down to, is that in trading, the one thing that is going to happen, despite whether or not you resist it or not, whether or not you think it's right or wrong or not, is you're going to have to change the way you think about that default programming of being a winner into a more probability-based mind where you do not control the outcome. You control the mind that you bring into the moment of performance. That's what you do. Otherwise, what happens is, guess what? You see this right here? It's got an arrow there, bang head here. Just try it. Try persistence. Try hard work. Try never giving up. Try positive thinking as you bang your head over and over and over again until you finally come to your senses and see that, oh, wait, I don't have control over the outcome. I can't make things happen. But what I can do is I can build a mind that engages probability and think of winning as simply landing on the right side of probability. That's all. And losing is simply landing on the wrong side of probability relative to me. Now you're beginning to think in a way that can actually produce a mind that can deal, because it's not about winning and losing, friends. That's the whole thing. Last night I'm watching a national college game, and it's all about winning. But ultimately, it's really about keeping the mind right and performing and executing. It's the performance and executing that leads to the victory, or not. But the thing is you have higher regard if you're focused on executing rather than focused on the winning. Or, I don't know, that a lot of people, like to bang their heads, and they keep doing it and they're not going to look in trader psychology, blah, 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 blah. And they're they're usually gone in about 3 years because they blow through their capital. So the question becomes, how do you develop a probability-based mindset? How do you get used to the uncertainty and can see things not survival-oriented in the moment, but probability-based over a period of time? How can we do that? Because the truth is you are going to really, truly go against the grain what evolutionary psychology has built your brain to do. And out of that brain comes the mind that you bring to trading. It wants to win. It wants to do all this stuff. And yet, unless it changes, natural selection is going to take you out of the environment in trading. Happens all the time. Everybody falls for the, oh man, you can make so much money doing this. You can hit this personal freedom. You can have financial freedom. You can have all this stuff. And all you have to do is just follow these real simple rules, blah, 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 blah. And what they don't tell you is that you tell your emotional brain that you're going to do that, and you're going to find out that that emotional brain goes from like just a kind of like an inner child to an 800-pound gorilla real fast. And you start seeing parts of yourself that you don't like to acknowledge. And here you go. So in the work that I do, it starts with a very different understanding of emotions than probably you're used to. And then it also then says what we have to do is once we realize that emotions are biological, they are embedded in your flesh, they are not psychological. When an emotion erupts, it takes over your psychology, sweeps it away, actually. Okay? But the emotion is not a feeling. It is literally an action potential that forces action when some sort of new information shows up in the environment. So the very first thing is, how do you go about literally learning to manage that? Because what I teach is once you grasp that an emotion is biological, you recognize, like tomorrow, if you're trading, you watch yourself in front of the mirror and you start seeing how much tenseness you have in your face as you trade, how much your shoulders are being scrunched, how much you're holding fists, how much all that stuff. What you're looking at is the emotional arousal leading to fight, flight. Your caveman brain is looking at all this stuff as uncertainty, and uncertainty produces confusion. Confusion produces vulnerability. Vulnerability produces a direct route to the amygdala into fight, flight. And what you would notice is that both your breathing would stop, or it would panic breathing, and you would have tension. Those are not breathing. Those are not tension in the body. That's emotional arousal. You're feeling it in the body because that's where the emotion is. It's not in the mind. It's in the body, controlling the mind. And so you're going, oh, and I teach diaphragmatic breathing, which comes out of the Hindu tradition of the yogas, and muscle relaxation, so that you're sitting there and you're calming the tension down, calming the breath down. And then what happens is, by definition, you also change the way you think and perceive. Friends, that's step one. And generally with me, I train a person between 3 weeks and a month before I even meet with them, because I want them to train themselves so that the breathing will seem very unnatural, particularly when you're told to do it while you're trading. You're going to want to hold your breath. You're going to want to panic. You're going to hold this tension. You don't want to do all that. And then you're doing that and you're saying, you know something, I am learning how to breathe in such a way that produces the parasympathetic response, which means rest, digest. You're calming it down. You're not allowing the emotion to grow to a point where it triggers and becomes a feeling that floods chemistry into your body, altering forever the way you think. That's the first step. Then the second step is a vital step. We have to teach you, or you have to become mindful so that you really start noticing what you're doing and start saying, what's going on here? And you start recognizing some powerful things, that you're not having thoughts, you're not having emotions, you're not having beliefs. They're having you. In your mindlessness and your sleep, they're just running through you, just pushing you into a life that you didn't necessarily know you were going. But the thing is by staying ignorant of your emotional nature, that's what you're doing. And in mindfulness, you're producing an observer that is able to step back out of thought and recognize that the person you call you is really nothing but one potential organization of a self that occurred most likely during your developmental time, and it got organized long before you could think. And that's what you call you, when in fact, it's just one potential organization of a future self. We want to be something else, but that's where it is. And you're going to have to do this. What you get really quickly is that you are going to need to rebuild the mind that engages probability, engages uncertainty. You're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to get some way of getting at a deep sense of worth living within yourself. You're going to have a sense of belonging. You're going to have to literally, truly begin to say, you know, something. I probably have a family and a critical parent laying in my head talking to me that I need to silence. And ultimately, that first step starts literally with that calming down, because fundamentally, the brain constructs an organization of the self that's adaptive to environment. Okay? When you bring it to the trading environment, it was totally unprepared for that, friends. So you're going to have to learn how to build that. Then understand what this brain was built to do. This right here is a very pretty common thing that would happen to our ancestors not long ago. And right now, Dolores and I are watching basically the relationship between man, woman, and dog. And one of the examples that they give are some herders in Montana where they're herding goats, and they have a shepherd that does a lot of the management of keeping the goats together and stuff like that. But they have two big dogs that are watchdogs, and their job to be embedded with the goats and watch for bear. And it was very extensive because this herder was sitting there showing and saying, "Oh my God, we're getting really close to bears here," and he showed signs of the bears and things like that. And so the thing is he's got his bear spray. Okay. These guys have spears where they're having to get very close to that bear, and bears used to find us for snacks. So you're looking at every time that you go in and you're facing uncertainty, you've got capital at risk. It's like to the limbic brain, to that emotional brain beneath your thinking brain, it looks at it's being attacked by a big, huge bear or a saber-toothed cat. Okay? That's how you have to start calming it down. And you recognize it's got some really instinctual biases that you're going to have to learn to spot rather than just let them fly by you without noticing. Now, understand this is when your emotional brain, that's the one that makes 95% of your decisions, when it actually perceives threat, it's going to trigger the fight flight unless you can disrupt it and start moving it. And all of a sudden that you're okay with uncertainty, and the biological threat is just simply something from a brain that was functional many, many years ago, but not functional in the trading environment. So that's where you're at. We're there. And we have to rebuild the default programming. The thing is that, it's cycling all the way through. Boom, 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 boom. Look at these particular kinds of patterns and notice how often they trigger in you as you move along. So the thing is what we want is that, normal is for fear and anger to be associated with probability. Okay? However, with training, you can build the association to include discipline of a ruler, the courage of a warrior, the self-soothing of a caregiver, and the impartiality of a sage. You can actually train the brain so that it experiences uncertainty very differently. That's the foundation of the probability-based mind. And where it sets, you're no longer trying to win. Your job is to perform. Your job is to execute. That's what you do, and you have control over that. So now we're looking at this and we're realizing, wow, that performance mind lets go of outcome and is focused on the moment. I mean, can you imagine this guy right here trying to think on what's all the potential problems that he may have out here? No, he's in the moment. The past is gone. The future's not arrived. There is only this moment of performance, okay? And that's the market. If you flow into the insanity of the market, then it's going to pull you and take you, and you're never going to be able to pull the kinds of emotions together that produces the kind of mind that you want. So we're looking at this, we have to construct it. Now, what you're literally, in my training, what you're doing, if you were to look at the brain itself is often described as a community of rival emotional programs that duke it out amongst them and cooperate with one another to be the ones who control basically the construction of the self that engages the world. Okay? That's what your brain's doing. However, in this miracle of being human, we have a brain that produces self-awareness. When we produce that self-awareness, what we're also doing is we're taking that biological phenomenon of a community of rival emotional programs, and all of a sudden what we're doing is we're endowing those emotional programs with voices. They become a force in the mind. And the way I describe it is that your mind is not monolithic. Your mind really is a governing board, like a board of directors, where various forces want to take the company called you in various directions. And unfortunately, what happens is that the CEO, the chairman of the board of that governing board, has been asleep at the wheel. He wakes up and discovers that a mutiny is going on, and he has to bring order to that particular organization so that it can move forward successfully into the future. Now, what would that look like? Here's a good example, okay? This is a challenge of uncertainty. These guys literally are all in order. They've got a ruler that is disciplining this thing, maintaining order during particular trying times. Nobody's panicking. Everybody's concerned, no doubt about it. But the thing is what they have control over is their performance. They don't know if they're going to win or lose. They're hoping to win, of course, but the thing is what they can do is perform. And by the first thing you do is you calm your fears, emotional regulation. Then you begin to approach your fears, and really the first thing is step back out of them and realize that you don't have to identify with the fear. It's one potential adaptive response to uncertainty. What happens is in training, you can actually maintain the discipline under pressure. And then you can think clearly. You can calm yourself down. And you can be courageous to face whatever future you need to be able to face. Now, in here, ultimately, probably one of the biggest differences between my work and most that I see is what I'm saying is that as long as you're using really soft-pedaled stuff, when you're using visualizations, you're doing that, okay, I'm going to write this thing out, I'm going to do it, and you're not taking care of the dark side, you're not looking into where you need to do work, okay, is what happens is that becomes what in Jungian work is called the shadow. It becomes the demon. It becomes the part that keeps holding you back. And in my work, what happens is we're fully expecting that within you is a heroic nature, and we teach you how to pull that up. And when you do that, it's not roses and stuff like that. There are still challenges. Okay, there's still uncertainty, but you face those challenges and uncertainties with a very different mind. Instead of killing the monster, what you do is you master the monster within you. Okay? That's how it works, friends. And as you do that, what you discover is you start truly finding these inner resources. They're in you, and I actually use using memory of time periods where you have experienced these particular kinds of things. We learn how to crack in there and to pull those up and to act from those rather than to imagine that you've done it. I actually want direct experience. But in you lives the courage of a warrior. the discipline of a ruler, the impartiality of a sage, and the self-compassion of a caregiver. And what you learn to do is you learn to intentionally pull these emotional programs up into working awareness. And out of those emotional programs comes the thinking that you trade with. So from my work, what I know is that these are the 4 emotional programs necessary to produce the probability-based mind, the intentional mind that you need to find success in trading. It's not hard, but you have to start recognizing that these are endowed parts of the self. They're there. It just really depends on whether or not you're willing to do the work to retrain the mind. I just finished a group course with a trading firm, and there were 59 people in there. And the deal is what one person said is, you know something, Randy, your work is really hard. I mean, it's hard to maintain this mind all the time. It's also one of the reasons I recommend that you don't trade for more than 2 or 3 hours a day. It is hard work. But what he said is, Randy, I'm learning to do this, and I see the difference when I'm in the trader's state of mind now. What I also know is that I have to learn this. I have to learn how to make this familiar pattern rather than feeling unnatural right now. He says, what I know is, though, if this may be hard, but the alternative is unthinkable. And he's already seen the alternative, so he's highly motivated to make this the new norm. Okay? So this is what basically we offer, is that what we're really saying is that, no, I'm not going to magically make everything better for you. I'm not going to have a wand, but I'm going to fundamentally teach you skills that allow you to master the mind that engages uncertainty. And friends, that's what has not been working till now. And as you do that, guess what? Your performances increase. And then you find out if your method really has an edge in it. And a lot of people find out as they start getting their mind together that their method really didn't have the edge in it they thought. And they start realizing, I've got a psychological edge now, but I need to develop my method edge so that they work together. How to do this? Well, friends, it just so happened this coming Thursday, we're starting our winter course on mindfulness and this whole becoming the change. This is what we call our group course. It's 5 group meetings, and we go them every 2 weeks. We're there for about an hour, and it's a virtual classroom. You have access to it 24/7. We do a lot of business in Australia where they have to have it 24/7 because I'm on New York time. So there you go. And the key is that everything I've talked about here, the process that I teach in this class. I teach you about emotions so that you have a better handle of what emotions are. I teach you emotional regulation. I teach you the mindfulness needed to step back out of your identity and start beginning to see that I can organize it. I also teach you about your darkness. I teach you about the fearful nature living within you, okay, whether or not you admit it or not. You know, even the bully's scared, okay? And I also teach you that there is this destructive part of the self that running away from it, you're not going to master it. You have to turn toward it and learn to master it. And that's that dark side of the force. Then I teach you how to find these particular emotional programs, archetypes, and start pulling them up, enriching them, and building a mind from those emotional programs. Because friends, the truth is all thinking is emotional state dependent. If you're not managing the emotion that you're bringing to the engagement of uncertainty, you're already producing the loser's mind. What we're doing is saying, no, we need to give ourselves the edge of the performance mind. At any rate, it starts real soon, and what we're going to do, because this is it's so important to be able to know how to organize the mind to be able to trade. And until you hit the brick wall enough, you're not going to know the importance. So I'm talking to people who've been trading for a while, and that's the big deal. I want you to look at that. It starts this Thursday, okay? And I know that we have, we've got 29 people, which means usually we stop at 30 but we can handle a few more. So if you're looking to do it this winter, I would step on the gas and make things happen.
We'll also have one in the spring
Yeah, and we have one. We have one in the spring too. A lot of people sign up early to be able to get a head start on a lot of the demands of the course. So I want you to take a look at that. We also have an individual course, and it's highly comprehensive and very personal. Okay, that's the best way to know it. And a lot of people choose that simply because they want to have the personal relationship with me. They're convinced that I can help them, and they want they want a mentor. Okay, so that's what it is, friends. And I ask you to look at this. Okay, yeah, go to the website, take a look at this, and if you want to start changing the way you trade and behave in the rest of your world, and believe me, that's what most people find is Randy, I really discovered that stuff that I was doing in trading, I do in the rest of my life too, and the impact this work has had on the rest of my life is unbelievable. So the deal is, if you're ready for change and you've been through all the visualizations, all the affirmations, all the training, the subconscious and stuff like that, and you're looking for something that acknowledges that there is no separation between your flesh and the primitive instincts and your mind, you're in the right place. So friends, I want to thank you for being here, and we've got a few minutes. So if you have any if you have any questions, just type them in, and we'll get to a few of them. Okay? Let's see. Here's one. This is from Nick. My question is that I think very quickly, although I know it's not good for trading, but I think very fast and come to a decision very quickly. Because of this, I make errors. Is that a question or is that a statement? Oh, thank you. No, that's the next one. Yeah, the point is that what you're saying is what I come back saying, this I that you're talking about is a construction of self that unfortunately the first time around you didn't have anything to say about it. We would be interested in you reforming that I so that you have a lot more control over how you think. Because when you say I think fast, what happens is that no, that's a learned habit. And what we're doing is saying, actually, the emotional programs that have to be in charge of the trading mind are impartiality, patience, and discipline. And you might have to transform yourself from a fast thinker to a slower thinker, because my promise to you is this: is slow is fast, fast is slow. Okay? Okay, this is from John. Do you have any suggestions on other activities that can help the mindset needed in trading? Sure. I tell you what, if you have a mirror, better yet, if you have an iPhone or if you have a video camera that you can tape yourself as you trade. And you'd be surprised what you'll see. That's the very first thing, is actually seeing what goes on. The other thing is, look, I didn't find and invent diaphragmatic breathing. It's been around for 4,500 years. And my promise to you, if you're living as a modern human being, is you breathe in such a way that promotes fight flight. And in diaphragmatic breathing and tension reduction, you're beginning to lessen that. The other thing is, make sure you get a lot of good sleep. The truth is that, if you're not getting good sleep, the brain's not well rested, and your ability to get a mind out of the brain that is very well rested is pretty dang slim. So it sounds crazy, but that's one of the things you can do. And the main thing is really watch a few video feeds on yourself, and you'll really get it. Oh my God, I really need to start paying attention to myself, becoming mindful of myself. Okay, this is from Rick. Slight OT. But what was the split way? Let me read that. But what was the split way back when? Way back when the risk youth from losers. What happened is, understand, back then, the lifetime of a human being was around 25 years of age. Okay? People didn't live very long past puberty. And if you start looking at it, we see males and females going through puberty like 12, 14 years old, and we think, oh, well, we need to dampen that stuff down. Understand, back then they had to, or they were going to be dead at 25. So a lot of this stuff that's been wired, it was all for short-term benefit. And what you have to do is you have to go, wow, most of the stuff that you react in trading to basically comes right out of the caveman adaptation that occurred through natural selection. Let's see if Adele. My problem is not risk management. My issue is trying to force trades and setups that are not always there. No kidding. That's alpha mind. Is that something that's core? Yeah, of course. I'm going to tell you something. If I didn't have, I thought I did. Yes, absolutely. The whole key is that alpha mind is something that comes through our caveman ancestry. It is learned, and it has to be unlearned. And just like I said, the one guy that was a serial entrepreneur, he came to the moment where we realized, oh, this is the task. I can do it. But the truth is I don't want to do it. And I think he made a wise decision to get out of trading, because you really have to love trading, okay, beyond making money, to do the hard work of the emotional change that required to produce the mind that trades. But yes, that can work. This is Tabitha. What is a practical way to re-trigger responses after years of trading trauma, after you recognize what it is? Well, I don't. Tabitha, I have a background in post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, I mean that's what I used to treat. And you're asking a question like, geez, after years of getting traumatized, is there a quick and easy way just to see what's going on? The answer is it starts with observation, and it starts with understanding that trauma basically is the brain learning that it cannot integrate the information that's coming in from the senses. Like, for instance, if somebody were choking you, okay, or you're heading at 70 miles an hour toward a tree, that brain knows that you can't integrate that information. And what it's doing is it's blocking it. The first step in stuff like that is get yourself skilled. Learn to notice the tension in the body. Learn to notice when you're holding your breath. Go to breathing. And then learn, and also mindfulness has been around for 2,500 years. What you want to do is step back out of that and say, okay, what I've got is I've actually learned trauma. Is that the truth is I did some things, I didn't understand what I was doing, and I got myself traumatized. And so the major thing is you can take panic attacks and move them from where they just take you to the hospital to where you can work them through in 15, 20 minutes if you just recognize that, okay, anxiety has gotten a hold. I think I'm dying. My thinking is just way out of stuff. What I'm going to do, instead of allowing myself to go into the thoughts, what I'm doing is I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to calm myself down. I'm going to work myself out of the panic attack. Okay, so okay, friends, that's it. We will have the recordings up, and if it's not up there early tomorrow morning, it will be my fault. What happens is that Dolores gets these things rendered, and my job is to put them up on the website, on the YouTube channel, and they will be there tomorrow sometime. I can't guarantee you early in the morning. And what I would encourage you to do is, a lot of the people in here today have done my work, and what they're doing is they come to these webinars to stay in tune with the work, so that they keep their practices up, they keep their disciplines up of maintaining the mind that they bring to the engagement of uncertainty. Okay, that's the deal. And what like I said, I encourage you, if you've come to the moment where you realize that I'm tired of beating my head into a brick wall, is there is a better way. But the thing is you recognize, you let go of the notions of winning and losing as like if I win, I'm Superman. If I lose, I'm a failure. And what you do is, no, this is really about your competence and performance. In my work, I teach inherent worth where you're separating your performances from your inherent worth as a human being. That's one of the first major things that has to happen. And with this, once you release that, you're looking at performance and it's not about you anymore. If you lose, it's not about you. Oh my God, let's hide it. It becomes, I lost. Is this a method mistake? Is this a psychological mistake? Or is this just probability? And suddenly what happens is you start learning. One last thing. For those of you from the Abrahamic religions, this word sin, okay? If you were to take it back to the Aramaic of that time, the word sin meant missing the mark. Missing the mark means making a mistake, okay? It just so happens that archers were highly, highly recruited, okay? And they were brought to a master teacher. And when they sinned, when they missed the mark, that gave the teacher something to do, to teach. So what happens is that they learned from failure, not in the long term, but there was a short-term failure, and that gave the master archer the ability to work with the person and to improve their archery. It's the same thing here. As long as you hold on to an idea of losing as being, oh my God, I'm a failure as a human being, you forfeit the right to use the losing as an agent of learning and changing and growing. Okay? And that's a big part of what we do. And I want to thank you guys, and I hope this new year is great for you. I really do. I'm having a great time. I'm approaching 2 years after a heart transplant, and I am fully back now. And it is I have second life, and I'll tell you something. Life is good. Good night, friends. Enjoy.